Within this video, we want to cover the overall features and functions which are available within the bill of material recipe formulation functionality provided by ProcessForce. But to start off with, in terms of navigation, we can navigate to this particular functionality by either going through the menu structure, so production, bills of materials, and clicking on the bill of material function. Or if we've set up our cockpit, we can go through the common functions within our cockpit. Alternatively, we can look for the product that we're interested in reviewing, and then for the context menu, looking at bill of material data. So at a very, very high level, from a header perspective, we're able to define multiple product structures for the same item using a revision code. We define a product structure based on a quantity and its unit of measure. And also then we can define the warehouse location where this material will eventually end up when it's being produced. We also are able to define a number of different scenarios. For example, we can define the items. So these are the items, components, materials which are used to produce the product. We may record and define co-products. So these are materials which are made at the same time as making the parent. And also, if a company produces scrap, whether it's truly a scrap-based product or it's a byproduct which is reused in production, we can create a particular transaction for those items. And then for WIP, again, we can define, if required, specific processes where the user can define the items which are produced during the manufacturing process, but don't want to record the detail of having separate product structures, but want to have visibility of where an item is in terms of production. Okay, but let's have a quick look then at some of the detail. So then we have this very simple product structure where we have a bottle label in the top and a recipe. By just clicking on the arrow, we can then drill down to the bill of material or the formulation of the recipe for this particular product. So recipe 2 then is made up of these number of ingredients. Okay. We then have the definition, whether this is a phantom or not, which we'll cover in a moment. We have the warehouse, where the default warehouse location, where if we're using backflushing, this is where these materials would be backflushed from. We have the quantity, a scrap factor, and the value which is calculated for the item for itself. We can define whether an item is backflushed or manual, and this comes from the definition on the item master. So you can see here our bottle 2 is configured as a backflushable item. For those of you who know distribution rules and projects, which are available in Business 1, at a header level and a line level we can also define very similar information, which is the projects and distribution rules. If your Business 1 system is configured for cost accounting and you have cost dimensions, then ProcessForce Forms would automatically display the appropriate number of columns for cost dimensions. Because we have multiple revisions, MRP needs to understand which is the standard or the one which is currently active. So therefore we can tick which is the default for MRP. But of course, if we are using multiple revisions, we can change that on a case-by-case basis. Let's have a look at a different product structure, which is product A. And in product A we have a different scenario where we have one of our items is defined as a phantom. So let's navigate down to our phantom structure. Now this allows us to reflect where in a manufacturing environment there may be an integrated production line. What do I mean by that? Well, here's an example where the manufacturer wants to control the recipe, so they want to have a separate product structure where they can control the ingredients and the quantities related to making this product. So it's a separate structure in its own right. But from a manufacturing perspective, they don't actually make this recipe, because in the integrated line process, these items are introduced at the beginning of the manufacturing process, and then our product A comes out. So this is an example of how we would manage a scenario where we have a packaging BOM and then a recipe which is basically a phantom, but we can control the recipe as a sub product structure.